All right. It feels like a lot of Jewish themed movies are coming out more recently, and this one is Triumph of the Heart. Yes, this is a Jewish movie, but it's also a movie about a father becoming a saint during the Holocaust. And this movie does have some soul. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing Triumph of the Heart. What's about pretty simple premise, kind of like I said. There is a Holocaust. There is a Holocaust. It is a true thing, and all people saying it's fake, go crazy. You're just crazy. Father Colby helped keep some prisoners alive for 14 days without food or water. And you might be thinking, really, no water? Okay, there might be water because they're cleaning up like the cell because there's blood in it, or maybe some rain. But for 10 people, and then maybe eating one rat, which is not a good idea, eating raw meat like that, but they have to do to survive, right? Or will they survive? Because, of course, this is kind of an experiment where the Nazis are trying to figure out how long they can stay alive with quote-unquote faith. 14 days without food or water, and the Nazis finally kill them because, like, enough is enough. We can't take it anymore. But this movie is a very simplistic, heartwarming movie is probably not the right word, but you try and get out of, like, faith and where it can get you in today's day and age, and how faith can keep you alive, I think, and how sticking together in horrible times can also keep you alive. So this movie is 85 to 95% just in a cell, through and throughout, of how these 10 men are going to survive without food or water. You get to know some of the characters and their backstory and why they're there. Well, no shit, Chase. You know why they're there. It's the Holocaust. They're there because they're Jews and the Germans took them away. I think the sound design in this movie is probably the best part of this movie, with the click-clacking shoes, the wooden shoes. Because here's the thing. In a lot of movies like this, you're not going to hear those click-clacking wooden shoes in these Holocaust movies. You just don't hear it. And here, they really try to put on the forefront of what shoes they're wearing. I know that sounds kind of weird and kind of a small, nitpicky detail, but I think that small, nitpicky detail really does resonate the story of just the sound of the shoes. Like, it's pretty crazy. The acting is pretty simple, of people trying to survive in the cell and trying to get to know them. It is very interesting too. It's kind of a double-sided story, if that makes sense, right? You have the prisoners in the cell and this German guy who's trying to, like, do an experiment with the Jews, but also kind of like the Germans getting mad that they're still alive for so long, and this experiment is going haywire because other prisoners are hearing these prayers or songs coming out of the cell that prove they are still alive, and this faith is keeping them alive instead of, like, them dying because of dread, because of dying because they're killing each other, or they're trying to eat each other, or things like that, because that was torture. How long can these Jews survive even if they have to eat each other? And none of them ever did that. And I think that's where the experiment failed, because faith kind of prevailed, even though they all passed away of starvation and drugs, because they did drug them at the very end of the day. So it's acted well. I think the cinematography and the production design is pretty simplistic because, like I said, 85% is in the cell, and that's what you're going to get with this movie. Father Colby, I am very intrigued about how the story is kind of told in real life, you know? Like, who knew what was happening those 14 days? Was the other Jews that were listening to them telling the story of Father Colby, or how did his story actually get to, like, the Catholic Church to have him become a saint? And so things like that really aren't told about how his story gets out in the public. Yes, there is a backstory as well of how he wrote papers during this time, and how the Catholic Church really wasn't going to support him anymore for what was happening at this time, because as you could tell, Hitler was kind of taking over the churches as well, and that's a huge thing of how he got, power, was saying, oh, we're going to rewrite the Bible, we're going to rewrite this, and this is what the truth is going to be in this new and improved Bible. And so you do have that kind of backstory in this as well. But I think Triumph of the Heart is a pretty simplistic movie of Triumph. Tell the story of Father Colby and how he survived 14 days without food and water. I do think it tells the story correctly. Yes, is it slow in some scenes because it is 14 days in a cell, and it is hard to bring up new stories when it's hard to know what actually happened in the cell because all 14 are dead. So you can tell it is kind of, viewer discretion or writer's discretion is advised to actually what occurred. And some of it was slow, but I think the moral and the story is a good one to tell. So Triumph of the Heart will receive a 3.5 out of 5 with Futons. It goes at 70%. We'll see the critics' news scores gave this one. 6 critics. Let's see what we have. 98 with an iron score. Sorry, it's late at night. So we have a positive, a positive, a positive, a positive, a positive. We have a 100% with the critics. That's pretty damn impressive. I was not expecting that whatsoever. So there we go. My 70, we have that 100, and we have the 98. Chase out here, the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this Blue Futon utopia. Yeah, Blue Futonians. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. I don't care what you say tomorrow, week from a month, a year from now. Or just go freak one of you. Peace and love, peace and love. And how far will faith take you?